Simcha, celebration, Simcha, Simcha, celebration of life.
Hi from me, Jared Epstein, and welcome to another episode of Simcha, a celebration of life. Gefillte fish is one of the most well-known Ashkenazi Jewish recipes that came from Eastern Europe. Bella Klass teaches her granddaughter Abigail Berkowitz a traditional gefilte fish recipe and shares some fun facts about it too.
And my sister, Sharon, is going to be recording us. So if you see her in the background, she's filming. Okay, so gefilte fish is actually a very traditional Jewish food. And in South Africa, we have gefilte fish at like every function. And I've always seen it on the tables, and I think I might have tried it once, but I'm not much of a fish person. So I'd always eat it, and there was this broth, and I didn't realize that the broth was actually made with bones of the fish. So that was a surprise for me. To begin, we've already started with the broth that's kind of cooking. In the broth, we have a little bit of butternut for some color. We've got fish bones and a fish tail and skin and stuff. Okay, just a little
I've got 2 eggs and beef stuff in a small bowl.
This one is perfect. What do you think?
Yes, put it in a beater, the 2 up together with the fork.
So when do you remember eating
We
gefilte
used to
fish?
have gefilte fish just about every Friday evening.
I mean, the dish for the fish. This is our pre-minced fish. And you minced the fish yourself as well.
In the beginning, yes,
How did you mince it?
with a mincer. And then I had an electric mincer, and then we were able to buy minced fish.
This white bread, we're gonna soak it in some water, squeeze it out, and then you usually leave it to just absorb the water a bit, but this piece has already absorbed the water. So I'm mixing that in.
And the other piece.
And the other piece, so 2 pieces. I'm just gonna let it soak a little bit while I grate some onions. Is that next?
No, I've got to mix it more thoroughly. The other piece of bread.
And we've also got to put in, how many onions? 1?
About an half. They're very big, about an half.
Half an onion. This is going to be such a treat for my dad because we don't often cook fish and meat, with my mom being a vegan and me being a vegetarian. So, and a bit of a grated carrot. So once we've grated the carrot, it's going to go into the fish as well, and then we're going to roll them into gefilte fish balls. I think aside from when I was a child, maybe a long time ago, this is probably the first time I'm actually cooking a recipe with my gran, which is also something really special. Because like I said, I'm not much of a kitchen person, so I never really thought about how valuable these moments would be. But I'm having quite a lot of fun.
Are your hands free?
What makes it unique from eating other kinds of fish is the taste of the fish has got a bit of an oniony, carroty kind of undertone, which gives it flavor. But it's also the texture of the fish, which is quite unique. It's got a mincy fish cake kind of texture. So it's really just soft and easy to eat. And you can just enjoy all the flavors. So now that our gefilte fish is finished cooking, we're plating it in a flattish plate, so the broth isn't too much. And I'm going to see if I can fish out a carrot from within. So traditionally, gefilte fish is served in a bowl with some of the broth, and it's always got a carrot slice on top. It's like it's wearing its little kippah. And there's our gefilte fish. Looks quite good. What do you think? Does it look tasty?
It looks very good.
Would you be inclined to eat it?
I would taste it, yes.
I think we make a great team. High five.
television shows such as Unorthodox and Shtisel are taking worldwide TV audiences by storm. South African photographer Annika Molnar and New York-based Ellie Rosen both worked on the set of the series Unorthodox. They talked to us about the significance of such a series and the increasing interest in series around Haredi Jewish communities.
And action!
Before I started working on Unorthodox, I did not know a lot about Jewish religion or the Jewish culture or anything really about the Jewish community, to be honest, because I grew up Afrikaans. I went to an Afrikaans school, so it's not in your surroundings at all. I would have never thought that one day I would have been working on a show like Unorthodox and learned so much about the Jewish and the religion and how that works.
To me, the story is about a young woman who is searching for herself, and she's searching for her community in the world.
She grows up in a very religious neighborhood and frees herself from an unhappy arranged marriage and flees to Berlin.
As a person from a Hasidic background, it was wonderful and interesting to have this opportunity to work on the set of Unorthodox. The character that I was playing, the rabbi, is kind of the voice of the community. And he was the only true villain in the story, in a sense. Everybody else is a victim of the system. Everybody else is a product of the system. And everything he says are lines that I was involved in the writing of them, and that I myself experienced them in my own life, in my own history, while leaving the Hasidic community. But then I was also involved in every other aspect of the show as well, creatively and behind the scenes with the cast, with the crew, with the director. My primary concern is authenticity and representation, and making that community, that world, which is woefully, I wouldn't say underrepresented in Hollywood, but rather misrepresented.
Ellie and I had a conversation on set he asked me, is there a big Jewish community in South Africa? But I was thinking about Orthodox Jews, not just Jewish people. So I still told him, not really. And I think he's probably laughing now, seeing as he's on the show, and it is a Jewish show, and there is a community. But in terms of Orthodox, no, I've never seen ones with the streamers, which is with the hats and the whole attire. I've never seen that in South Africa, and I still don't know if like those Hasidic Jews exist here.
A series in Yiddish, for me also personally, I think it's a great thing.
With respect to this Yiddish Renaissance or Hasidic Renaissance in art and culture, I think a lot has been said about it, and but I think there are several aspects to it. First of all, I don't think that's specific or particular to Jews or Hasidic Jews or the Hasidic community, or Yiddish for that matter. I think for the longest time there's been this disinclination to engaging with foreign cultures and foreign languages. Americans would not watch movies or television with subtitles. They just wouldn't. But I think in the last several years, there's been this movement toward globalization, toward consuming other cultures, other languages, becoming more aware of other cultures, which is to say that in any setting, instead of forcing the characters in an unnatural way to speak English when they would not normally speak English, whether it's a film about French people or about Russians or Germans or what have you, actually have them speak in their native tongue or speak whatever languages they would normally speak in that setting. So it's a wonderful thing that there is this awareness about culture and about language, and that people are able to tell their stories in their own language.
Nee, Schimmel, lass mich hören, die Kasches.
Nicht Schäferle, du bist gewinn so excited für dem.
Tate, Leini, ich will bei dir
One of the things that we attempted to do, and that we hope we succeeded at doing, is to also show the beauty of the culture, the humanity of it, the trauma in it. And, you know, not just to kind of call out or highlight some of the more problematic aspects of it. And that's why we went to so much detail to portray a wedding, to portray a Passover Seder, to portray the beauty even of like the quieter moments, the Shabbat dinner. Yes, we use them as tools to tell the story of Esti leaving, but we also went to great pains to portray the beauty in it and to show kind of her reluctance at leaving, and how hard it was for her to leave and how much she missed her family and missed her grandmother, despite all the hardships. And there's a reason why it's so hard for people to leave, because the families are so close-knit, the community is so tight-knit, there is so much love, there is so much warmth. And the problem I have is not that the community exists. I think it's a beautiful thing. The problem is that people aren't really given a real choice. And a lot of them are also not given the tools to survive in the outside world. They don't have a real secular education. The economy, their professional life is all kind of set up in a way that they're completely dependent on the community for support. And so nobody's given real choice. And of course, least of all the women.
What really shook me was the part where Esti's hair gets shaved. And I was like, why would she's got such beautiful hair. Why would a girl want to shave her hair? And it was very emotional, because even for Esti, she was so emotional, and those tears were real. It actually made me very emotional. I was watching, also like, I don't know if I could do that.
It took everything I had to stop myself from running in and grabbing the clippers out of hands. I left the Hasidic community. It was a long process. It took me over 20 years. So my story is very different from Esti's. But there was a point in my life where I cut off my payas. I was alone in a bathroom, and I kind of left them lying there on the sink, on the vanity. And those are one of those moments that stay with you for the rest of your lives. So it was really incredible to kind of see that, in a sense, recreated on camera. We talked a lot about authenticity and representation, and I think the response to the show really validates the work that we put into that. We've gotten so many messages from around the world, especially in Middle Eastern countries, especially in Muslim countries, that related and engaged with the show in a way we couldn't have anticipated. They all say, this is our world. We recognize these people. We recognize this world. And it made them sympathize with Jews and Judaism in a way they never had before, in their own words. The criticism that we have received, which, by the way, only comes from within the Jewish community, and it comes from this misplaced fear that this will stoke anti-Semitism. And my response to that is, well, first of all, I don't think telling Jewish stories could possibly stoke anti-Semitism. I mean, if we stoke anti-Semitism simply by existing, then there's a larger problem there. But also, I don't think anti-Semites need our help. I think they do just fine without us. I think that the more they experience Jewish stories, the more they see characters that are similar to their own world, that are just as human, that are just as complicated, that are just as conflicted, and have the same struggles as we all do, the more they come to know us, the more they sympathize with us, and the less they utter us and they hate us. One person tweeted in Turkish that this is the first time I cried over somebody Jewish. And to me, that speaks volumes. I've even received a lot of feedback from within the Satmar community, from within the Hasidic community, just raving about how accurate and detailed and wonderful these characters are and this world is, and appreciating it and feeling seen and heard for the first time.
So I think why there's suddenly an interest in series like Unorthodox, when it comes to stories like Esti's story, her leaving a community without education, without money, and all of that, and without knowing how things really work in the secular world, makes it for her so incredibly difficult. And just that journey for her, and that is empowering, I think, for a lot of people to see, well, if a girl like Esti could go through all of that, it makes you look at your own situation, and for me that makes it very powerful. I think it just really brings meaning to people in their lives when they watch stories such as Esti's.
A few weeks ago, we introduced a new feature called Ask the Elders. Today, in our second installment, the kids give us their thoughts around what kosher food could be. And then Rabbi Sam Thurgood explains.
If you put it in a milk thing, in a kosher thing, then it becomes, and then you throw it in the pool, then you hold it in the pool, and then it becomes Jewish.
If the shop is kosher thing, then the thing in the shop is supposed to be kosher.
I don't know. Sweets have to be kosher because they have bones of animals inside, so they have to make sweets be kosher, and they don't eat pig, so that's why they have to eat. So that's why they have to eat kosher food. Kosher food means they're kosher.
Kosher food is an umbrella term for food that meets the Jewish dietary requirement laws. In the Torah, in the Bible, God gives us many, many commandments relating to what we can and can't eat. These are the animals that are kosher. These are the animals that are not kosher. The birds, the fish. Even when it comes to plants, there are various issues around what we may or may not eat. Kosher, as I said, covers everything. So when it comes to animals, it means firstly, the animal itself must be kosher. So that would be, for example, cows, sheep, and goats, rather than pigs and horses. It must be shechted or slaughtered in a kosher way, because that's a second dietary law. We do not mix meat and milk, and so even when we cook it, we have separate bowls and dishes and pots for meat and for milk, as well as when it comes to the fish, there are only fish with fins and scales that are permitted. So things like prawns and lobsters are not going to be kosher. Because the food manufacturing process is so very complicated, we want to make sure that every step along the manufacturing process is kosher. And so that will generally require a kashrut supervisor, a kosher supervisor, also known as a mashgiach, who will be sent by the kashrut authority to inspect the factory, to see the ingredients and to understand how everything is produced, so that the end result of every step along the way results in kosher food.
And if you've got time to lose, take a moment before shoes. For there ain't no use in us just hanging around, 'cause it's who do we choose to be. And if you've got an open heart, let it love all there is from the very start. For there ain't no time but the time we've got right now, 'cause it's who do we choose to be. Oh Yama, 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 oh Yama, Yama,
That brings us to the end of this week's episode of Simcha, a celebration of life. As always, we'd love to hear from you, so please send us a Facebook message at Spirit Sister Productions. From me, Jared Epstein, and the Simcha team, remember, as said by Benjamin Franklin, tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, but involve me and I learn.